welcome to the All Things Gratitude podcast. My name is Nick Dorsey, and exciting times today. To be honest with you, I was trying to do an intro, and it didn't work the way I wanted to. It actually worked out good, so dang it. But anyways, before we get to our guest, I want to do a quick shout out. We have a sponsor for the show. It's awesome. Our friends at Pawn & Nose. They're been fortunate enough to come by and sponsor the show, and they are a talent acquisition and engagement firm focusing on it, attracting and retaining top talent for their partners. So any information, please DM me and I'll get the information over to you. But thank you, Pawn & Nose. We really appreciate it. On the show today, man, somebody I've been connected to for a little bit, and it's out of all this craziness, I'm always talking and everything. I know he's always talking to people, and we've never connected off the platform yet. So this is really great to have him on the show. He does media training. He's a video market strategist. He business storytelling. I mean, whatever you need to do with video, Rob is your man. He is the founder of Robert Deptford Communications and EQ4 Media. Please welcome to the show, Rob Deptford. Welcome, Rob.
Thanks so much, Nick. Thanks for inviting me on, and me and my COVID hair. I have to.
Yes.
I feel like it's becoming its own entity.
Yeah, I mean, you can almost market that. So a new marketing strategy.
Maybe so. Yeah, I got to be careful because I know people would love to have this head of hair, but there are some disadvantages to it. Let me tell you.
Absolutely. So Rob, man, let's take it back a little bit. How did you get into the video production side of things, and what drove you to that, and why do you keep doing it? Maybe that's a great question too.
Sure. Well, that goes back a long ways. I mean, I thought I was going to be a news anchor coming out of high school, right? So that was my plan. And so I went to broadcasting school and learned all the stuff I needed to learn, and ended up working for a short period of time. Did a little bit of news anchoring, television stuff, just as part of schooling for a local cable television station, and then went on to work in radio for a little while. And then ended up getting sucked into the dark side, as we sometimes call it, in the marketing and communications realm, doing other things, and meandered around quite a bit. So, I started out wanting to do this stuff, really,
Awesome.
the video stuff, and thinking about it in a very different way at that time, because back then nothing was digital. Not to age myself, but that was the way it was. And now there's such an opportunity to come back and sort of realign that skill set to help other people, especially now, right? Because we've all moved into this online space, and everything related to video, especially for business on the marketing side of things, is so easily accessible, right? And so it's just a matter of how do businesses take advantage. You see podcasts like yours, or we see videos come up on our LinkedIn feed or Facebook feed or whatever, and you look at that and go, well, how is this helping anybody make money if it's business stuff? And so those are the things that we need to help people wrap their heads around.
Absolutely. And, I can say I can age myself too. My second year in college is when the internet really launched to the public. And, the big thing then was the AOL chat rooms, right. And, taking like 30, 40 minutes to log on because, waiting for everything. So, I tell a lot of people I'm glad it wasn't around back then. but as you mentioned, absolutely, especially in this time of COVID, the online marketing. I mean, there are some companies right now that are excelling through this because they were innovative before this even happened and took advantage of all the social media sites and how to just, like I said, take advantage of, the marketing aspect of it. And, we have some friends, connections that are doing that, with Ira Bowman and everything, who's helping out people take advantage of something that they either don't understand or don't realize how big it actually is, so that's those handful of companies that are doing it, man, they're the ones that are successful right now, in this hard time. You got to get your message out there. You have to get your message out there, and they're doing it in a way that, up to 20 years ago was never done before. it was by newspaper clippings or word of mouth or whatever, which I still believe word of mouth is probably your best source of, marketing, just because who wouldn't take somebody else's opinion, who they know really well and everything. But getting it across the world, I mean, I'm not going to be able to tell somebody in, Japan or Korea or anywhere like that personally what's going on. I have to use social media or some type of marketing ploy. So absolutely. Love it. And then we have another friend of ours who was in television a little bit, kind of like you were, who did some traffic stuff, our friend Erica. She posts those throwbacks every once in a while. So I didn't know that about her. I saw one. I was like, oh, that is just awesome. So, kind of a cool thing there.
Yeah, Erica and I have done a little bit of work together, and it's fun to get together with her because we can reminisce about old times and broadcast days and how things have changed.
Our friend Kenneth always drops the vocabulary, the huge words here. I just love him to death. So, Kenneth, thank you for stopping by the show, man. I really appreciate your support and everything. So Rob, how is it going up in Canada? North of the border, I want to get up there. Borders are closed, makes it tough. Weather, how are things up there, man?
Oh, well, we're hanging in there like everybody else. I got my my Tim Hortons coffee, which is, if you're not familiar with that, that's sort of woven into the fabric of Canadiana for a lot of people. And we're hunkered down and trying to stay safe and stay healthy. We're where we are here, we're locked down, more or less. There are a few businesses open, so you can still go and get your groceries and things, but with limited capacity. Schools are closed. My kids are home here now. Hopefully you won't hear them getting into trouble downstairs, but they've been doing school from home, and so I've been trying to help with that. And we've just had a lot of upheaval like a lot of other people are experiencing too. So, we're doing what we can to try to stay safe and take some pressure off of our healthcare workers and the hospital system. And there's light at the end of the tunnel now with vaccinations starting to happen. But I think we understand too that we've got many months yet to go before we're really feeling like we're out of this thing.
Yeah. My parents, they have some existing health issues, and the cool thing is they got a message from their doctor where they're in line to get the vaccine at the beginning of January. So for us, with my parents, health concerns, that's kind of a relief, because it has been hard. And where I live, we're complete opposite. We're fully open. All businesses are open. Everything's going. But, you still don't want to take that risk with, some of the people who do have the health. So like my wife and I mean, we'll go out to dinner every once in a while. We'll go to the stores, but our main concern is my parents, and so we've hunkered down, and it is getting a little tough. I'm not going to lie, because you're so used to freedom and doing whatever you want. And, but it's almost become a routine now, so it's like, it is what it is. I mean, schools are open, so people aren't having problems here with the kids being home, and that's got to be tough. People who are working full time, then they got to be a teacher, then they got to watch this. And God, the world has changed so much in 10 months. It's unreal. So how has this impacted anything with your business at all or anything? Or are you still going full speed ahead, or how you doing on that aspect?
Yeah, we've seen some impact for sure. But what's interesting is, like you were talking about off the top of the show, a lot of these businesses have positioned themselves already to succeed in the digital space. They're the ones that are doing well. And now we're seeing all the others that are going, oh crap, what do I do now? Right? Like they've been forced into this other way of operating. And you see that. I know you see it probably the same as I do in my LinkedIn feeds and DMs and things with the instant sales pitches and stuff that are coming up from people you don't know. And it's businesses that are scrambling, right, trying to figure this out. So where a year ago I was saying, hey, everybody, you got to get into this space and be doing some video to try to build that know, like, and trust factor with your audience, who we know is moving online. Now I'm going, okay, we're here. Like we were sort of forced into this at an exponential rate. And so now's the time. Like yesterday was the time. And so, in some ways, as for my business, it's a good thing because we know we've got solutions.
Mhm. Awesome. So I'm glad you're able to keep going during this, and keep traction because, some people, just unfortunately couldn't make it through. So it's nice to hear stories, success stories too, and things going through like that. So let's do this. Let's have a fun side of this, Rob. So when COVID's not around, okay, and you're being Rob and your family's being your family, what is something you love to do for fun? What do you guys love to do, get out and do and enjoy?
Oh man, we are all things outdoors. So where we are in Calgary in Western Canada, a few old people like me will remember it from the 1988 Winter Olympics and Cool Runnings, the movie that came out of that and that stuff. But we're in the shadow of the Canadian Rockies here. We're like a 90-minute drive from Banff National Park. So to go out there to the mountains and have the hiking and the camping and the skiing at this time of year, those are the things that we love to do. And why not? I mean, the playground is right here for us.
Mhm.
And so we definitely take full advantage of that.
Great. So can I safely assume that you're a Calgary Flames fan?
Yeah,
Or are you on the Toronto side? Or are you a hockey at all?
So yeah, no, all hockey. Both my boys play hockey, and so we're normally at this time of year we would be living in hockey rinks in
Mhm.
much of our spare time, evenings and weekends. Of course, that's all shut down at the moment
Yeah.
too. But yeah, we're hockey, a big hockey family. I do cheer for the Flames, but I grew up in British Columbia, so I was a Canucks fan first,
Okay.
and so I still, in my heart, I cheer for the Vancouver Canucks. But because we've lived in Calgary for so long, I do cheer for the Calgary Flames as well. And
I
at times I'm torn, especially if they end up playing against each other in the playoffs.
So where I used to live in Washington, I was 2.5, 3 hours away from Vancouver's arena, and we would go up for games, the Canucks, and I can't remember the year, maybe early '90s. The Canucks were playing the Flames in the playoffs, and it was like a double overtime game where it was just an unreal game, and just the intensity in the crowd, and just being there because where we're from in Washington, we had junior hockey, but nothing like the NHL, which now Seattle has an NHL team, but
Yes.
you don't hear nothing about it because everything that's going on in the world right now. But I got one down here in Arizona, but I don't know how you can play ice hockey in the desert. But whatever, that's a different story.
Yeah, we
But
could talk about that forever too.
yeah, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, being there and just that's like your national sport up there, so people are just so intense into it. And it was just great experience because I'm just a sports junkie. So just experiencing that and being a playoff game, and it's like a rival. So it was just intense. So it was a lot of cool to experience that. So that's something I'll never forget. So it was really awesome. So
It's funny. It's sort of like what the NFL is to Americans, I think.
mhm.
Just a couple of weeks back, people who are Calgary Flames fans will know the name Jerome McGinley from years ago. He was the captain for many years of the Calgary Flames, and he's living in Boston right now. And a TV reporter in Boston stopped him on the street to ask him about the weather and what was happening, and didn't know who he was.
Mhm.
And it was a big news story in Canada, of course, because here's this hockey superstar that in Boston, and Boston's a hockey town too, right?
Mhm.
And here in Boston, Jerome McGinley can walk down the street and not be recognized.
Yeah.
And you think about that, if I were to run into some NFL superstar walking down the street in Calgary, I probably wouldn't know who he is either.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's weird because, you know, we can probably have a big NFL player like that I know big time out of Seattle. If they're up in your area, probably nobody would recognize them. Maybe might recognize the one big name on Seattle's team, which is Russell Wilson. But when it's not in your news feed all the time and you're not seeing it all the time, I mean, I get it. I mean, but it's just interesting. It's funny how it made it a big news story, but that's your sport. That's what everybody grows up on, playing little frozen ponds in their backyards or down the road or, whatever, just ice skating around. It's such a different world from me,
The ODR, we call it the ODR, the outdoor rink.
Yeah. I mean, like, especially now where I live, I live in Arizona where we had 115 straight days of 110 plus degree temperatures during the summer. I mean, there's no chance for ice down here, but it did get down to 30 degrees the other day, which put people in panic down here. So that's a rarity. But,
I can imagine.
Christmas Day, it's 70, 75 degrees here, but I had to move to the heat. And that's, for me, younger, I loved the snow. I was always in it. We were close to some ski resorts. So I would always go up and snowboard and everything. Just loved it. And then as I had more surgeries on my body from sports and the cold doesn't like that, I was just like, I'm done. I need to go somewhere warm, save myself.
I can't say I blame you. I know Arizona in particular has, I think it's between Arizona and Florida, they have fairly high Canadian populations during our winter too. So I know Phoenix, Scottsdale area especially, it seems to be popular with some people we know. Snowbirds, we call them, right? They leave just for the season and then come back home after the snow has melted here.
I think what it is the people around from my parents, they're from Canada. And I believe they can only spend 179 days in America or also lose their health insurance up in Canada. So they're down here for 179 days and they beat feet up to make sure they get their amount of days in up there to qualify. Right. So, but this year has been interesting because some of them didn't go back, and I don't know if the government's given them, some lenience on that just for the fact that, borders been closed, and just how everything's going on. So, but so a lot of snowbirds from Canada. There's a lot of Canadian license plates and everything down here. So absolutely, man. So,
maybe a few left.
Yeah, one day maybe you can buy a house right down the road from us. I think you would love it down here for this period of time.
You just may see that happen one day for sure. I think I agree.
So, awesome, man. So, do you have any big projects coming up you can talk about, or are they kind of on the DL or stuff like that? Or
there's a few things in the works. So one of my objectives for the end of this year was to have a good package of online material available, some courses and things that people, solopreneurs and small business people could access to try to learn some of this video marketing stuff. And because of COVID, that's one of the ways it has impacted our plans. We're still doing it, but definitely have had the timeline shuffled back a bit. So I'm aiming now for early in the new year. Definitely first quarter is the plan, to have some things available online, and that'll all be accessible through my website at robertdeptford.com. When it's ready, but it's in the works, and that's what all the toys in my background here are for.
No, that's awesome, man. I mean, and you make some great posts, because you did one the other day, which the funny thing is with stuff on LinkedIn and everything, it's like it's the obvious, but sometimes it's so obvious you don't realize it. And you made this one about the little icon they put on so people can pronounce their name, so they can see their name, and you made it easy. Hey, you have 10 seconds. Promote yourself in this 10 seconds. And I was like, duh, but you just don't think about it sometimes, and so I went in there and did that with mine, and that was great. And I thought LinkedIn did a genius thing by putting that in, because there's so many people have a hard time pronouncing their name. Like, at the end of the show today, there's going to be a guest that I'm going to for tomorrow, and I'm going to butcher his last name. I'm telling you that right now. I'm going to apologize straight out for it, but he doesn't have that little icon on his page, so I'm like, hey, you got to do that, man. But
yeah, it's there, but you got to set it up, right?
So. Yeah, absolutely. And I used to do everything on my phone, so I don't think you can edit it on your phone. You have to be on a desktop, I believe.
No, You can only record it on your phone,
Yeah.
in fact.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, it was the other way around. So sorry, but then I was wrong. Then I went the wrong way on that. But I used to only do everything on my phone, so that made it kind of stranglehold me on some of the other tricks of LinkedIn also. So and like now I'm noticing now being on the desktop more. I used a ton of emojis on the phone, and when you come on the desktop, it's like little rectangles and squares. I'm like, well, that kind of depletes everything I was doing, because I wanted to make it kind of fun.
Absolutely.
So, and yeah, great stuff. So, any big plans for the holidays? I know you're kind of hunkered down, so I'm assuming you don't have
Yeah.
anybody come over, any relatives, or is it just unfortunately just the family?
Yeah, it'll be just us. So my wife and I and the boys, and it'll be very unusually quiet because
Yeah.
typically we would have extended family around either at our place or we'd be traveling somewhere else. And so that's not possible this year. They don't even want anybody who doesn't live in your household to visit. So even friends and neighbors, if you pass each other in the street outside, they're not too worried about that, but they don't want anybody gathering at all. So it will be a quiet holiday.
Mm-hmm.
But I get it, and I still look forward to it, and we'll enjoy it, and we'll know that we're making some small sacrifices in the short term for improvements in the long term. So,
Yeah, we're kind of in the same boat because usually we have about 25 to 30 people over on Christmas Eve at my parents' house.
yeah,
So this year it's just going to be um, me and my wife, my younger brother, and his family, and that's it. So it's kind of a small gathering. Christmas Day, we'll then have one of my other older brothers who live down here come over. But usually, like you said, it's just mass chaos going on, pretty loud, football here, this going on there, whatever's going on that day, just so it is going to be different. But like you said, understand, for me personally, I'm not too worried about what's going on, but I'm worried for people outside of me, if that makes sense. I'm worried about my parents' health more than mine. I have a strong immune system. I know I'll probably be good. I'm worried about them. I'm worried about we live on a block, Rob, where we're the youngest ones on the block. We moved into a street where I can call everybody grandma and grandpa if I want on the block
oh
because
wow,
everybody's that age, So it's been really weird because we moved here and moved in April, and I've been able to talk to people, but it's been from across the street, and everything. We haven't really. There's one couple down the road who's about our age who've come over and everything, but besides that, everybody else, we keep our distance, and it's been really weird trying to meet people, and because I want to know my neighbors, I want to help them out too, that's just how we are. So, man,
yeah.
straight 2020 has been a dumpster fire. I hope about mid-year 2021 is going to give us back to a little bit to where we were, and we can get back to going to summits and hopefully, speaking engagements and LinkedIn locals and all that fun stuff. Because I just feel people just need that right now for their sanity.
I couldn't agree more. It's funny you describe it as a dumpster fire because I was just chatting with someone else about that the other day, and we've got a creative agency locally who came up with this genius idea. I know, annually at this time of year, we actually have a fireplace channel on television. And so anybody who doesn't have a fireplace in their home, they can just turn the channel on TV and watch it, Christmas Day or whatever. There's no heat, of course, but
Yeah.
you get the ambiance, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. And so this creative agency came up with the idea of, we're going to build a dumpster fire and record that. And in the fire, they're burning things that are all COVID related, the hand sanitizer and the masks, and as though this is our transition out of 2020. let's get rid of this thing and move on to better times ahead. So I thought it was brilliant.
It is because, with anything that happens in life, there's got to be a point where you just have to end up being comfortable with it and be able to make fun of it, but not, you know what I'm saying, and have a little fun with it because it is what it is. It's not, at this moment, when we're done with this call, nothing's going to change. It's going to be the same,
Yep.
So, it just, roll with the punches, and that might actually put some smile on people's faces. And, just because, like you said, it's fun. It's okay to have fun. That's what sometimes people don't get that. It's okay to.
Absolutely. Let's lighten it up a little bit. And do things that bring enjoyment right now, right? So
We have another guest on here. I have no clue what that says, but hi, Jane. Thank you for being here. So
I need Google Translate.
Yeah, please let us know where you're watching us from. It'd be awesome. I like to see people from other countries, chime in. We had some from the Philippines the other day, somebody from Japan. So it was kind of cool that, this little podcast coming out of my den that I just do for fun and just talk to people is reaching out to people across the world. And like we talked about earlier, another amazing thing about this platform. 20 years ago, I could have never had this, going on like this. So
it's incredible to have this kind of reach, right? It's just amazing. And for somebody like my kids, they don't get it because it's just normal to them. But, for you and I who have lived through the transition from pre-digital days, it seems like more or less a miracle, really.
It's funny, Rob, because a lot of my teams lately I've been managing have been younger, first jobs out of college, just the younger generation. And I'll sit down and have conversations with them and tell them, yeah, back in, I remember the first cell phone came out, and they're to the public, they had them before for really, really rich people, but the big old bricks and everything. I go, guys, you need to realize I was like the mid to late 90s. And they're like, huh? I'm like, yeah, I mean, we had these things called pagers before then,
Pagers,
yeah. And I go, we would encrypt messages on them, and you look at it upside down, it would say the message, so you knew who to call. We got innovative like that. And we just talked about, we only had 13 channels on our TV, and we'd have to put rabbit ears on them with like tinfoil to try to get some channels to come in. And they just look at me like, huh? It's just like, you don't understand. I go, life was much simpler. And for me, I enjoyed it more because we wanted to go outside and play. Parents didn't have to force us out, and they had to drag us into the house because if it was pouring down rain or whatever, it was like enjoying the outdoors, and enjoying what we had. It wasn't about video games. It wasn't about drama on social media or any of this stuff. It was about life. I really do feel that way. But in hindsight, I always say the smartphone is the worst invention ever, but the greatest invention ever. I call it the worst because you get stuck to it. You're just like this for hours, and you don't realize how much time you've wasted. But then when I worked in manufacturing, Rob, we could fix and PM and troubleshoot $1 million CNC machine by watching a YouTube video right at our hand. It was just amazing what we could have done. Or I can FaceTime, a tech from across the country and show them this is what's going on. You can tell me right there how to fix it. Just amazing when it came to that aspect. Best business invention ever, I believe, was the smartphone and FaceTime and video calling and all this stuff. So great for your industry. This is
no question.
Yeah.
So most people are using mobile devices these days, right? And so for businesses that are making the transition now, oftentimes they're thinking, well, I got to get a website up and this, and really it's not the case. It's a question of just having some kind of digital footprint. If you put a website up, it's like I often say, it's like putting up a billboard in the middle of nowhere. You still have to have the traffic. So go to where your customers are and then start building out and start building that presence. So the smartphone is the access point to that, right?
I agree. I mean, it's basically a computer in your hand. Yeah. It basically is. And, it can do almost 90% of what a computer can do, and that's amazing. Something that small, so.
But, or something that big, like the screens are just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I remember when everything was first going on, I had one of those Motorola flip phones.
Yeah,
and
me
those
too.
Those were the coolest things ever. The Nextel came out. Oh my God, I can walkie-talkie with somebody. Then you don't realize, hey, wait, everybody else can hear my conversation. But then the speakerphone came. So, I mean, it just,
Yeah.
just kept going on and on. The text messaging was the greatest thing ever.
I had a
It just seemed
BlackBerry.
like it.
Remember
Yeah.
that?
Blackberry or Crackberry, as we call them down here, because you get addicted to them. But
Yeah.
one cool thing we were talking about earlier in the so-called green room was how we met, and you're doing a project with some people I was connected with, and I believe everybody on it was Erica Warfield, Russ Johns, Virginia, Ira Bowman, yourself, and Joe Stepke. I believe that was the 6.
That was the crew of troublemakers. Yeah.
Yes, and you guys are doing some charity work and everything, and giving up some free time to help some people out, which was absolutely, I thought, was amazing. But that's how I came across you and Virginia, actually. And it's been pretty cool, because since that day, even though this is the first time we talked in person, we've been very supportive to each other on our posts. We've been tagged on each other, and we've had conversations through engagement on LinkedIn, which has kept, I would say, this kind of professional friendship rolling through the time. So another great thing of this platform. I mean, it just another reason why people need to take advantage of this and get a hold of you and your company to help them get through that and show them what you can do through video production, how it can really increase their sales, their viewerships, or whatever they need to help their business out.
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell, right? And I was certainly happy to be part of that group and be doing a few things for some charitable organizations and helping them start to build their footprint out a little bit. But I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. Pre-pandemic, we had 72% of consumers already looking online at video before they were visiting a store, a business. Almost 3/4, 3 out of 4 people doing that first. So when I talk about what I do, I talk about the concept of the digital first business era. And it's not about setting up a website or setting up an e-commerce store for your products or any of that necessarily. It's about understanding what parts of your business operation can be in that place that are a point of first contact for your customers. And when you look at that and you put together a good strategy around that and start to develop that presence in what is really a networking capacity when we're talking about LinkedIn, right? Referring to that stuff and the engagement on the posts. That's where you start. That's where you start to develop that trust with your audience, and over time build some sustainable business relationships. Now if I had something manufacturing related, I know there's a Nick Dorsey in my network, right?
Yep.
That I can go to and ask questions. And that's what it's about, really. It's not about make that sales pitch. It's about understanding who are the valuable assets in my network that I can rely on and go to. So
you bring up a really good point there, and we talked about it earlier, is just all the sales and spamming going on right now. And I really don't like it, but some points people are so desperate now for work and everything. I kind of understand what they're doing, but at the same time, like you said, there's someone in your network that you've been engaging with that hasn't made a sales pitch to you. If you need something, you can ask them, because they haven't been down your throat, shoving this down your throat constantly on, I need this, I need that. I mean, our friend Ira, he makes great gifts. He does some media stuff, for people, and it was very simple. Yeah, I'm good friends with them, but it was just one of those things. There's thousands of people who make gifts on LinkedIn. You can find somebody everywhere, but he's the only one that's never pitched a sale to me, never. So when it came to the show, I was just like, hey man, can you make me some graphics for the show? And he was like, right on. And we came to an agreement, and everything worked out great. And it was just because he never did anything like that to me, and that's what I appreciate. I've had some other vendors over the years that I've met on LinkedIn, and just they've never made a sales pitch to me, and now I've been doing work with them for 7-8 years. It's just because I'm like, hey, I saw your product. Tell me a little bit about it. I'm the one who presented that to them. And I'm going to tell you one thing now, salespeople. If you're going to make a sales pitch to me, do not tell me why your competitor sucks. Tell me why your product is good. I don't want to hear about your competitor, because I'm talking to you because I don't want your competitor. So there it is. don't bash somebody else. I don't like that. Because that tells me how they're going to conduct their business too. What are they going to say behind my back now? So good.
Yeah.
There's your tip of the day, everyone. In sales.
Write that down. Write that down.
Absolutely, man. So, Rob, just things have been great since I met you on there. You're always having a smiley face, positive engagement and everything. And, for somebody like me who really doesn't own a business, and just is on the platform just to personally brand and help other people, it's always great to have somebody who engages like you do. And, just you put out some great video content, and it's great seeing that. And that's why I love engaging on your posts and, promoting your business or whatever, just because it's like one of those things, it's kind of like you're good to me by engaging and everything. And it's like you're patting me on my back, so I pat you back on the back, and everybody's happy with it. It's just not asking for money, not asking for this, just doing it out of the kindness, because that's the type of people we are. And so that fits in great for the All Things Gratitude podcast. So, it's just, you've always been great to me, and I totally appreciate that, man. I value our friendship on here, and now since we've got to talk kind of in person, at least over the video.
Anyway.
Yeah, this is as close as we can get right now. It's just, it's awesome, man. It really is. And,
I'm with you. That's what it's all about, right? I was on a call with Scotty Schindler last night, and he calls it create the win-win-win, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. It's it's not necessarily you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. It's not. There's no formal commitment or anything like that. But it's about supporting the people you care about, that you have some some reason to get behind on the network. And when you meet somebody who is genuine and authentic, it's easy to do that, right?
Yeah. And the great thing about it is, I don't compare people. I know a lot of people do video editing. I know a lot of people who do this visual stuff. I know a lot of people who do graphic design, and I don't try to compare them or compete them against each other, because I may know somebody who's looking for somebody to do video, and I'm like, okay, well, I know A, B, and C person, but I know for sure, but you'll be a really good fit with Rob because of your personality, because of this. It's nothing against the other ones. It's just, each other's personalities and fit. Or maybe this other person's going to be great with company A just because they're looking more for the lower end. They're just starting off. They don't need anything crazy. It's just a basic, let's go, so you bring them to that other person. So it's nice to have those options and knowing those people, and nobody gets mad about it, or at least the people that we associate with. I'm sure there's people out there who get upset, but that's the great thing about the network and the group of people I try to put myself around, who I engage with quite often, is, they're just great people. They understand circumstances. Some people are more in for the higher end companies because they charge more money. Some people are more here to help out the lower end companies, and they do at a lower rate. You just got to know your audience and know the people you're dealing with, and just refer the right ones to the right people. That's all this is about, And, one day I'm going to do something, and you're going to be like, hey, I know this guy named Nick who might be a good mentor for you or can help you out with leadership stuff. This is the guy you need to talk to. I know this guy does it all, but his personality will fit you great, or vice versa. Or you'll send them to somebody else because they're more kind of straight to the point, and that's how the person you're dealing with is. And, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that, because if I have somebody who's do all the time, how do you think they are communicating with me? Because I'm like, bah, 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 bah. So.
Well, you raise a great point, and I think one of the things I've learned over time being in business is there seems to be a lot more advantage in and leverage, frankly, in collaboration than competition. And there are examples everywhere. I mean, we were talking about Ira Bowman earlier, and I love Ira. He's terrific, and he with Bowman Digital Media does some of the same things I do. Mm-hmm. But I'll recommend Ira all day long. Right. And I know he very kindly speaks highly of me sometimes too. And that's just how it works.
Yeah.
and it is really a question of fit, as you say, and where that best fit might be, and what the best outcome might be as a result of that fit. So
Absolutely. I'm
that's
doing some. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say you got it exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about making sure that we support each other that way.
I do some work for Impulse Consulting, and they do like a 12-step LinkedIn program, to help you build your page, and they do some audio stuff, and they help you with podcasts and everything. Well, that just describes a lot of people we just mentioned and talked about, and that's one thing I talk about with them is they're like, it's not a competition. It's just like we just talked about it. It's who's the best fit for who. I'm not in this to compete to take work away from them. Doesn't mean somebody else's clientele is my type of clientele or my clientele is their type of clientele. It's just we find the fit, we figure where it's out, and we support each other, because you never know. Somewhere down the line, you might be working with somebody, Rob, and they're getting to this point, and it's like, you know what? You're a great client and everything, but I think you'd be a really good fit with Bowman Digital Media. And then you refer them over to IRA, because of some of the things they want done, and there's nothing wrong with that, because IRA will remember all that stuff, then, eventually the world comes around back in circles. It does, karma. I mean, I believe in all that stuff. You're led down paths for certain reasons and all that. So as long as you just stay, being cool and great and just being happy and helping people out, I believe things will come back. It may take a while, but it will, and it'll come unexpectedly, just out of nowhere. Like, whoa, look at this. Wow. I got the client of a lifetime now just because I was being patient, so yeah, this platform, I can't say enough about it. I mean, like I tell people, especially with you, if they get a hold of you, is the stats might have changed since COVID happened, but what was it? At one point, there's 660 million. It probably increased a little bit since COVID that are on the platform. And what did they say? 1% of them engage on the platform daily. So think about that. 1% of 660 million. So if they get a hold of Rob Deptford and say, hey, I want to have a complete video production for my LinkedIn page, for my website. Can you help me promote it? I want to get it out there because only 1% of the platform engages every day, and I want to make sure I get mine out there and take advantage of that. This is a great opportunity for a company to get the hold of somebody like you to help them out with a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, well, and we want to set them up for the long term, right? We
Mm-hmm.
don't. This isn't sort of hire you to do the video and it's a one and done thing. It's more of a look at what's your overall strategy, and let's set you up so that you can continually create your own content, because you have to these days. Frankly, you do have to, and it's got to be consistent, as we know, right? And so to be able to do that in-house, for your team to be able to do that and do it strategically so that you are reaching your target audience, that's a skill set you got to have now for the digital first business era.
I agree. I'm one of those people who firmly believe in connecting with everyone, but at the same time, when you're running a business, you do need to find that target audience on top of that first. You find that target audience, but then you can still connect with everybody, because I always say there could be somebody outside your audience, but it takes that one person to find you, or you find that one person that all of a sudden changes everything, and you could have a target audience. You don't realize this person's outside that target audience, and you would never know it if you would have just stuck just to that target audience. So like for a while, my target audience was recruiters, was people in Arizona, because I was looking to move to Arizona. So I wanted to get my foot in the door. So that's how I was branding myself. But at the same time, I did want to connect with everybody. I didn't care if they're in India, South Africa, Australia, because you never know. They might know somebody or have somebody in their network that sees something I'm saying. So it comes back around. And like I said, I've gotten a couple jobs off LinkedIn, Rob, and those people were not my target area whatsoever. And it's just because I connected randomly and they saw me, it was a benefit for me, so, but I firmly believe in target audiences, but I firmly believe in having a lot of connections is still not a bad thing.
Well, I'm with you. I think there are advantages to targeting in certain ways, but I think that, from a marketing perspective, if you're not going to make them a client or a friend, then make them a fan at least.
Mhm.
And if you make a fan base, those are the people that you're going to get that free word of mouth marketing from. Uh,
Mhm.
and part of fanning the flames, so to speak, is showing up consistently,
Yeah.
right? And you do it well, and everybody we've talked about today, they're all people that on the LinkedIn platform anyway have figured this out, right? They
Yeah.
show up all the time, and they are who they are, and they do their thing, and people respect that, and they get a lot of engagement. And any business should be, or even job seekers should be looking to leverage some of those strategies and try to duplicate that effort.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing, one reason why I created this podcast was kind of what you just hit on, is not only helping me brand myself, but showing the unscripted, the unedited, and the raw version of who I am.
Yeah,
Because I always said anybody can be a keyboard warrior behind a keyboard and look like the greatest person in the world. And their personality could be the worst thing ever. Or vice versa. Some people are horrible at typing and writing blogs or whatever, which I'm one of those people. I'm horrible at writing blogs, but you get me on camera, my personality shows something totally different of who I really am, so boy, it was coming out of my comfort zone when I first did it. I tell you what, but
most
it
people
got
are.
so
Right?
it got so much positive feedback, and like right now I got to do some stuff. I know it's probably driving you crazy. My lighting's horrible, and I need to get some of that stuff fixed, but
But
for me
nobody
it's
cares.
okay right now because I'm not trying to make this mass production to make a ton of money. But if somebody
Yeah,
comes up to me and says, "Hey, we can do this," yeah, then we'll have a conversation. Then maybe I gotta call somebody like Rob Deptford to help me with my in-house studio and all that stuff, So, but that's why I do this stuff. I mean, it's fun, and I get a. You've probably caught some of the podcasts. I think we're around
yeah.
30 or 40 now, and we've had some interesting people on here. We've had some great people. Conversations have gone off the chain where I just have no clue where they came from, but they just happened. But some of those, like we had one with Erica. I tell you what, Erica, we talked about conspiracy theories, UFOs,
Oh, that's right. The ancient
yeah,
aliens.
the
I
Egyptians,
remember
how the
seeing videos.
UFO, how the aliens built the pyramids.
Yeah,
That was our biggest view podcast of everything, and it was just talking about just crazy things. But people had fun with it, and
yeah,
that's the key for me. It's let's have fun, and let's just enjoy our time and enjoy the people who are here. Yes, I want to plug you. I want to have you get what's out for your company, and I want you just to promote it as much as possible. But then at the same time, I want to have a conversation because I want to bring out a side of you people don't see, just in digital text or any of that stuff. I want them to see how much fun you can be and have, because a lot of clients like myself, I want to deal with people who I know I can get along with and trust and actually have a little bit of fun when I'm dealing with them.
for sure.
I mean, I can be honest with them, and I'm going to be honest with my vendors. I'm going to tell them how it is, but at the same time, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, we can sit down and laugh, talk about our kids, talk about what they're doing, and just have a normal conversation too. It doesn't have to be all about numbers. It doesn't. It can be more than that. And that's what I look for with my vendors. And it's almost a requirement. And yeah, I'm pretty hard when it comes to that. But guess what? A lot of my vendors have been around with me for 8 to 10 years. They keep following me around to companies I go to out of state. They follow me down there and find ways to get their company in down there in these areas. So, I mean, it works.
Well, they
It
appreciate
really
the
works.
authenticity, right? And we
Yeah.
hear that term authenticity a lot, I think, and it's almost become a little bit cliche. But what you're talking about it is one of the big barriers that I run into quite often with new clients is, you have this idea in your head of showing up in what you know to be business video, which might be a television commercial or something. And so it's this big production with lighting and maybe A-list actors and all kinds of fancy effects and a lot, we've seen commercials during the Super Bowl, right? And they're pretty high end, and they cost millions and millions of dollars. And so people have that standard set in their mind. And we have to unlearn all of that stuff, because what people really resonate with is that level of relatability that comes with exactly what you're just talking about. They don't care about the lighting. Yeah, I mean, I've got some toys because it's my business, but if you've got nothing but your smartphone, you're fine. If you've got that, you're ready to go. You're good to get started. And as long as you've got the ability to create good content and get your message out and connect, and I say this too all the time, I say make connections, not commercials, right? If you can do that, then you're off to the races.
You know, one of our good friends, Russ Johns, that we're both really connected to, with the Pirate Broadcast, which is a fantastic podcast. Please go check it out, people. He does a great job every day, 7 a.m. Arizona time. There's a quick plug for him. But
yeah, he's good.
He used to film all his podcasts off an iPhone 6. I mean, that's what he did it with. And he had great video and everything, but he just knew how to set it up right. He just knew the right angles, the right lighting. Think about an iPhone 6, and he has like 3 of them all around, you know, for all these different angles and everything. And he goes out of his garage. I mean, it was just crazy when I heard that. I'm like, that's an iPhone 6 or something. I was like, damn. He's like, yeah. Why spend all this money on it when I can do it with this? The technology's right here. It's a phone I don't use anymore. I'm like, awesome.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Well, and today's smartphones are even better. There's a Samsung phone out now that's shooting in 8K. And so, you know, it's crazy. It's better than what I mean. We've got the SLRs and things, but you know, the smartphones of today are shooting better than SLRs were even just 10 years ago. So
I saw this promo for a phone. I can't remember where it was, but it was out of somewhere in the Middle East, and they took a picture from like almost a mile across the canyon. They zoomed in, and then when they took the picture, it could zoom into like 1,000 times, and it looked like what was across the way was right in front of their face, crystal clear. I was like, wow. I was like, holy crap, you know, because they had both views going, you know, when they were taking the picture, they showed the view of the valley behind them, and I was like, dude, that's impressive. That is just, it's amazing what technology can do now. I mean, it really is, and it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better, and people need to keep up with it on their LinkedIn pages and their social media, because if you fall a little bit behind, oh my goodness, I mean, you fall way behind if you just fall back a little bit. You have to keep up with the stuff, you know, and sometimes it's hard because like they put a new iPhone out 6 months later. There's an iPhone 11. Now there's going to be an iPhone 12. 6 months later, it's like right when they get all the tweaks out of it, the new one's out. Another $1,000. You know what I'm saying? It's just such a marketing ploy, but whatever it is. But awesome. So Rob, I mean, we've almost gone on an hour, so we're going to wrap it up here, man. But man, it was great to have you on the show. I mean, I got a lot of connections up in Canada, and, you know, I got a couple more. I'm trying to get a couple more on, you know. I want to keep my friends from the north happy. So, you know, I got to keep the audience going up there. But, you know, I'm really excited to finally meet you in person. I mean, I know we'll set up a couple more calls just between us down the road. I mean, can't wait till when this is all over. I'm trying to make up to Canada to meet people like Ron Craig and Paula, you know, and Kim, and, you know, so some of these just really cool people up there who are constantly engaging with me. So
they're all out east.
Yeah, they're all east, but you know what? There's got to be a layover somewhere, right?
For sure.
So, I mean, so and they can catch some hockey too. You know, why not?
Yeah.
So, absolutely. So, Rob, really quick before you go, where can people find you and, you know, get a hold of you in case they need any of your services?
Well, robertdeptford.com is probably the best place to go. You can get links there to a couple of books that I've got available on Amazon. Links to my YouTube channel are there. That's kind of where I'm focused right now, is building up my YouTube channel. And anything else that comes up that's in the works and about to present itself, or about to be presented in the new year, it'll be there at robertdeptford.com. So, and of course, LinkedIn, right? Where we met.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, what's great about StreamYard now is you can put a pre-broadcast on, which I've done for this show, and it streams this video automatically to the comments that have already been done and the post that was done. So if you look in the comments below, I already put down Rob's webpage where you can go to, his LinkedIn page, I mean, all that stuff. So it's down there. So go find him, see what he can do to help you guys out, you know, and you can find me up there in the corner. You can find me on LinkedIn. So I appreciate that. Please come over to YouTube too to find all of the past podcasts under Nick Dorsey leadership. And we have some big stuff going on, Rob, which I'll tell you after the show, but with the podcast. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to get that all announced and everything. And once again, thank you to our sponsors up there from Ponano's. I appreciate you working together with us in the podcast. You're a true friend of the show. So anything you need to know about Ponano's, please DM me and I'll pass the information on to them. But Rob, thank you so much for being on. Our guest tomorrow is the owner and president of Headhunter. Oh God, I just butchered that one. He's a headhunter. He's got great video. I'm going to butcher his last name, and I'm apologizing right now because I need the voiceover of it. But Joel, what's that? Lauji, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. He's all over. He is all over. He does some great content. He's like me. He is just raw. He tells it how it is. That's what I love about the guy. So tomorrow at noon Mountain Time. But Rob, once again, thank you for being on the show. I absolutely appreciate it. It was great to finally speak to you in video one-on-one like this in front of 660 million people. So of our closest friends. So
that's right. Much appreciated, Nick.
Yeah. Thanks, man. If I don't speak to you, you know, have a great Christmas and a happy New Year.
Yeah. All the best to you too.
Thank you. See you, everyone.